Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I'm still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me tonight, no Evan Sowards this week, but he'll be back next week of 49ers Hub. But joining me, as they do each and every week, the NFL Super Friends on this very program, we've got JP Acosta down there in the great state of Florida. JP, SBNation.com. JP, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Got a lot of fun football coming up. It doesn't even feel like the regular season's over, but it's fun.
It's kind of nice timing. You get the regular season wrapped up here, and but the national championship concluding as we record here, with Michigan winning their first natty in a little over 20 years, and yeah, we get transition into the NFL playoffs. It's a nice seamless transition of postseason football. Also here, USA Today, Behind the Steel Curtain, and the Pump Fake, Jarrett Bailey. Jarrett, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I had a Red Baron French bread pizza, and I bit into it too soon, so the top of my mouth is just destroyed right now. But outside of that, it was a crazy weekend that had a bunch of events go in my favor. So I'm good. I'm good.
There you go. I'd never thought on this pod, with no Evan tonight, of the three of us, if you had told us throughout the course of this NFL season that it would be Jarrett's Pittsburgh Steelers and only Jarrett's Pittsburgh Steelers being in the 2024 NFL playoffs when it involved the Jaguars, Falcons, and his Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think any of us would have predicted that this would have ended up being the case.
I could have told you the Falcons weren't going to make
it. All right, JP. We were in it the last week of the season, which was my case all along. It was right there. They were begging us to win the division, begging us all season long, and we couldn't do it, and then we ended up firing our coach at 12:01 a.m. So, and then we had a great press conference where the GM was not there to talk about the new coach, and we got a weird answer as to why he is not there, and that everything is fine. It was just the Liam Neeson, just nothing to see here. We're all fine, so everything's good. Who cares? We're picking 8th again, loving it. No franchise quarterback. It might be Bill Belichick. I don't know. Whatever. 7-10. Nothing matters. Go Falcons.
I tweeted my way to fix the Falcons, but they don't let me make these decisions.
No. It's Rich McKay's job, Jarrett Bailey. JP Acosta, let's start off with your team, because I think this was the story of the day. The Jacksonville Jaguars ultimately did not make the playoffs. They made history. What was the stat where, based on their start and then how they finished to wrap up 9-8 and miss the postseason? What was the Jaguar stat that they did?
I think they're one of the only teams to go 8-3 and finish 9-8 and miss the playoffs.
Yeah. Whew. So you wrote about this. They're a team you're quite familiar with. What happened on Sunday that ended the Jaguars' NFL season, and just how bad a shape is Jacksonville going into 2024?
The things that happened against the Tennessee Titans were the same things that happened against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals and every other team they lost to during this losing streak. It wasn't a different kind of loss. This is like when Tom keeps stepping on the rake in Tom and Jerry. It's the same thing. Same thing every week. Defense has blown coverages and can't tackle. Offense has miscommunications. Offensive line stinks. This really is an organizational misplacement. This back half of the season falls on the fault of the organization, specifically the GM and the coaching. And you saw that with Mike Caldwell and a bunch of defensive staffers being fired today. You cannot miss the playoffs looking like that and expect to go into 2024 or go into next season trying to run it back. You can't run it back anymore. You ran it back last year and you went from a 9-8 team to a 9-8 team. You got worse, actually. You did not improve at all, and it showed. So this is going to be a very critical offseason for the Jaguars going forward. They cannot remain the same. It cannot continue to be this way.
What about you, Jarrett? Do you look at this offseason being Jarrett's out for a second. JP, I'll throw it back to you momentarily. Is any of this an indictment on where Trevor Lawrence is as a franchise quarterback? Is this stretch down the season? Is it more of the defense and that's why they cleaned house and that's more of the issue? Is it Doug Peterson and the offense with Press Taylor? Is it something that gets cleaned up? Is it the receiving core that he had down the stretch? How much of this falls on Trevor Lawrence?
What I will say is we are going to be incredibly stupid about Trevor Lawrence this offseason. At his worst, Trevor Lawrence is still a very good quarterback. The problem is when the offense is entirely built out of Trevor Lawrence being superhuman, that's not a sustainable way for you to win games, even if you are the former number 1 overall pick. I feel like we've changed the discussion around top QB prospects to be, you're supposed to carry a team to the playoffs even when like everything is crappy around you. The Jaguars offensive line is the worst offensive line in football by any metric you want to look at. They were 31st in adjusted line yards, dead last in stuff rate. They could not block. And because they couldn't block, you couldn't get into anything that you really wanted to do offensively. That changed the entire makeup of the team. Press Taylor was horrible as a play caller. The sequencing was bad. The design was bad. It just was not great at any point in this season. But I don't think this sways my thoughts on Trevor Lawrence at all. I think he is still a very good quarterback. I just think this serves more as a wake-up call to the organization to be like, hey, you can't just throw out this top quarterback prospect or young quarterback who you believe is very good and just expect him to lead a bunch of dudes to sustain success. Like, that's not something you can do. And everybody's going to point to CJ Stroud, but those guys were pretty good. And they drafted really well, you know? And they had the requisite play calling and playmakers, you know, and the protection especially. So we're just going to be really dumb this offseason. And the Jaguars have nobody to blame for people being dumb except for themselves.
Jarrett, do you think they bounce back? Does this feel like, hey, you still have Trevor Lawrence, he's still a top 10 quarterback in this league, he can still get better, you can fix the defense, make a right hire here, get you a Jim Schwartz and fix things. Joe Barry might be looking for a job. We'll talk about it later. Maybe that's the missing hire, and I just did that for JP. But you know what, JP, though? Ryan Nielsen, man, he might be open. I loved Ryan Nielsen this year for the Falcons.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I would. Ryan Nielsen's a good DC. Of course, the Falcons finally get a good DC, and then we move on from the staff, and he's not going to be there anymore. But Jared, do you think this is a quick turnaround, or do you think there's real concern about the Trent Baalke era in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I talked about this on Jacksonville radio today. Like, it just depends on how aggressive the Jaguars are willing to be in terms of spending money on either side of the ball, because JP pointed out their offensive line was really bad. And the few moves that they did make, I think they overestimated how impactful they were going to be. Like, media included, like myself included. I predicted the Jaguars would be the number 1 seed in the AFC. And for like 20 minutes, they were. But I think the big addition that everybody was talking about was, okay, Calvin Ridley. You know, they were 9-8 the season prior. You add Calvin Ridley to that offense, should be able to take a next step. And Ridley had moments, but I think he finished with like 75 catches. It was really up and down. There was a long stretch where he was not a non-factor, but like him and Trevor Lawrence just never seemed to find chemistry that was good enough to, carry this offense. And defensively, the concern about the Jaguars defensively was the secondary coming into the year, and it remained that throughout the year. Like, they let Jake Browning and Joe Flacco eat them alive in consecutive weeks. And a lot of that is personnel stuff. Like, Andre Sisco and Darius Williams are both good, but like when you're trying to get meaningful snaps out of, Rayshon Jenkins and Tyson Campbell and Trey Herndon, like you need to do better at those spots. And then they do have the benefit of having a handful of guys on that side of the ball that were either really good coming into this year or had questions and took really big steps forward. Like Trayvon Walker had a nice step forward. Josh Allen played like an all-pro. Cisco, Williams, and then Foye, who was a really good player for them as well. So like they've got a select few guys on that side of the ball that they can rely on. But and in terms of how they can bounce back, it's how aggressive are they going to be in free agency, and how aggressive are they going to be to bring in competent coaching for that side of the ball? Because Wink Martindale is going to be available. Are you going to go out and get a Wink Martindale? Are you going to get aggressive and get a coach like that for that side of the ball? Just depends on how aggressive they're willing to be. Are they going to go out and get, try to make a splash with a T Higgins to get a more complimentary receiver room? Like they're going to have opportunities to get better. It just depends on what they're willing to do.
So my initial thoughts on this offseason for the Jaguars is I don't think they think T is going to hit free agency. I think T is going to get tagged by the Bengals. I think he's going to get tagged. They're going to re-sign Reader and probably let Jonah Williams walk.
Yeah.
I think they're going to re-sign Ridley. I don't think it's going to be the extension where Atlanta gets a second-round pick, but I think they're going to let him hit free agency. But it's going to be a gentleman's agreement. They're like, yeah, we're going to re-sign you. But it won't be an extension, so they don't have to give Atlanta a second. So they'll end up giving Atlanta a third. And then from there, I think
still got to re-sign Josh Allen though as well, don't they?
They're going to tag Josh Allen.
Okay.
They're going to tag Josh Allen. I think Rayshon Jenkins is going to be a cap casualty. Going to end up getting
Has Josh Allen ever been tagged?
No.
Okay.
Cam Robinson's going to walk in free agency. And from there, you just figure it out. I think based on how Doug Peterson talked at the exit interview today, he harped a lot on players, not coaches. But then they also fired all the defensive staff.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to lean heavily onto we need to get better players. And that starts up front. You can't go into a season with Luke Fortner as your starting center. He is the worst center in football. You can't keep having a rotating line at left guard. Brandon Scherff he hasn't been healthy. Your best offensive lineman was a rookie this year, and Anton Harrison was fantastic.
Yeah.
But you cannot go into this season thinking you can just run it back, because that's what got you to 9-8 this year. I think the few names that I would come up with for DC are Corey Unlin. He is the current pass game coordinator for the Texans, if they want to go that route. Worked with Doug Peterson in Philadelphia. Al Harris, who's the DB's coach for Dallas, also worked with Doug Peterson in Kansas City and Philadelphia. But if they want to go for a swing at a name that just, who's already been a coordinator and will work really well, I think Ichiro Evero would be the big name that they go out and try and get. Christian Parker, who's the corners coach for the Broncos, rising star. I think he's going to be a very good defense coordinator one day. I don't think Wink gets a DC job because I think the reason he left New York was because he wants a head coaching job. So he's going to angle for getting some head coaching interviews. So I don't know what happens there.
Do you think he gets one?
I think there's probably a couple teams that might, but I don't think it's going to be like I think it'll be like a transition hire if they hire Wink, which sucks for him, but
I mean, he's on the older side. He's never been a head coach in this league.
Mainly, I'm thinking the Carolina Panthers.
That's what I'm saying. If he wants a go at it, Carolina might be.
Well, we're about to see how bad of a job that really is. Like how many? Carolina is going to be the ultimate. How many people say no come out? Like I can't wait to see how many people say no.
It sucks, but somebody's going to have to take it, and Wink might be that guy.
Oof. Poor Bryce Young, man. I saw a picture where they compared the side by side, and they're like every new picture of Bryce Young looks like he's growing closer and closer to Bubbles from The Wire, and it's just it's true and very sad. Poor Bryce Young, man. Switching gears a little bit, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They make the playoffs. Mason Rudolph. Jarrett, is it weird that like Mason Rudolph was kind of decent and kind of good for Pittsburgh down the stretch here? And like, if you don't make the switch to Mason Rudolph, Pittsburgh probably doesn't make the playoffs?
I don't think it's necessarily weird. Because in 2019, like he showed flashes of being a competent backup. It wasn't anything special, but he's been with the team for since 2017. He's been there a long time. And also the bar wasn't high. Like this has been an awful offense for the past 2 years, and it's just hilarious that the second he comes in, the Steelers score the most points that they've scored in a game in 2 years. First time they've had consecutive games of 30 points in 3 years. And his numbers in that stretch are the best of a quarterback since 2018, when Ben was still at the peak of his powers. So it raises questions for the future, without a doubt. Like the fact that Mason Rudolph's first 2 starts are better than any 2 Kenny Pickett games that you want to find, without any sort of question about it. So if you're the Steelers, I mean, right there, that's obviously that raises questions for your future at quarterback, which they already kind of had because Pickett hasn't looked good yet. And then against Baltimore in awful weather, he goes out and completes 90% of his passes. Again, it wasn't anything crazy because it was 30 degrees, raining. They ran the ball a lot, but to go 18 of 20 in that kind of weather, he made a 71-yard touchdown, where he threw a dart, frankly, to Deontay Johnson, who ran it the rest of the way. But he's played really well. And in 3 games, he already has half of the amount of touchdown passes that Kenny Pickett did before he got hurt. So I think that the Steelers they're putting out that, we still believe in Kenny. I would be violently surprised if they aren't in the market this offseason to either trade for a guy and just have some sort of competition, bring in a vet to have some sort of competition in camp, because they can't go forward with, just saying, Kenny's the unquestioned starter in 2024. That would be malpractice. And I think Mike Tomlin knows that. He's not stupid. Omar Khan knows that. He's not stupid. I think that they kind of know where they are and that they took a swing and they missed in terms of drafting Kenny Pickett. And now it's just a matter of, what do you do in the offseason? Obviously, they have a playoff game this weekend against Buffalo. I don't expect them to win that game. But there is, there's definitely questions now of what you do at quarterback, because Mason Rudolph's a free agent this year, and some team is going to offer him decent money to be their backup, maybe depending on the situation, a bridge starter. So they're going to have a lot of questions to answer at that position this offseason, and the decisions that they do make are going to have long-lasting effects.
Is it good or bad for the organization to make the playoffs? Is it like worry you a bit where they're like, oh, we made the playoffs, see, we're fine. Like Tomlin's making the playoffs, we just need to address the quarterback position. We'll be okay. Like we're very close to contention and close to the Ravens.
No, I think making it in this specific way isn't a bad thing, because like you're doing it with a backup quarterback, which like I said, should tell you all you need to know about the quarterback that you drafted, who has played horrible for the past 2 years. And like I said, the second that Mason Rudolph comes in, the Steelers are able to score points magically. Like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this thing out. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And if anything, like it I know I've been as much of a, hey, maybe it's time for the Steelers to move on from Mike Tomlin, but it does speak to the fact that he still is one of the best coaches in the league. So to get to 10-7 with this team, who by the way was down to their 5th safety, their 5th linebacker off ball, it's incredible what they've done on either side of the ball to be able to get that done. So like I said, doing it in this fashion, I think if anything, it just makes them realize, okay, we're not going to go forward with Mason as like our franchise guy, but I think that they know that the franchise guy isn't on the roster right now.
What do you think they do ultimately? Do they go quarterback early in the draft, or do they make a trade for Justin Fields? Do they go vet? Where do you think they go?
If it was me, I'll tell you what I would do, and I'll tell you what I think that they'll do. If it was me, I've said this before on the show, like my dream scenario is you sign Kirk, you have Mason as the backup, and if you want to draft a guy mid-round just to have, then you do that. I've had JP's spoke of this guy. Damian Parson of the Draft Network has said this guy's name as well. If you want to go Michael Pratt from Tulane to have in that quarterback room, cool. So that would be my dream scenario is Kirk, Mason Rudolph, and maybe Michael Pratt. What I think they'll do is probably sign a vet, but it's not Kirk Cousins. It'll probably be the likes of like, a Gardner Minshew or Jacoby Brissett, something of that sort, and roll with Jacoby Brissett, Kenny Pickett. And if they do bring back Mason Rudolph if they sign 2 quarterbacks for relatively cheap deals, and cool, then there's your quarterback competition for the for training camp. But that's basically another punt on another season where you don't have a franchise quarterback. Another year wasted of TJ Watt, another year wasted of Cam Hayward, another year wasted of Minka Fitzpatrick, wasting young years of Joey Porter's career. Like, I would like to say that I think they'll be aggressive and go take a swing and try to get Justin Fields. I don't know how willing the Bears are going to be to trade with the Steelers anymore after what happened last year. But if Pittsburgh comes knocking and offers at least like a 2nd-round pick and change, then I think they'll definitely pick up the phone because, I do think that the Bears move on from Fields. And we know in the build up to that draft class, I mean, Mike Tomlin, it was very evident that he was high on Fields. So I'm not completely ruling that out. I know that a lot of Steelers fans would like to see that. I know personally I would like to see that if in terms of like the quarterback options, if Justin Fields is a possibility, I'm definitely not saying no to it. But I think that the more likelihood is them being the conservative organization that they tend to be, which I don't want it to happen, but knowing this team the way I do, I feel like that's what's going to happen.
JP, talk me off the Falcons ledge, please.
All right, let's see if we can do this.
Please, JP. Jarrett's not going to do it. Please, JP.
I mean, I can definitely try. I don't have any. Here's the thing.
All right.
Go ahead, JP.
It could be worse. You could be the Panthers. No,
that's true.
In all seriousness, the Falcons are one position away from actually being very good. But it's the problem that's been with the Falcons since Matt Ryan left. So really, you're just hoping you get a good coach who can find the quarterback. And I think this is the perfect spot for a guy who might have already had coaching experience as a head coach and not the hotshot coordinator. I don't think Ben Johnson takes this job.
It is interesting he's the co-favorite with Belichick. Like, you could not be more different in Belichick and Ben Johnson in terms of the next coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
I think Bill Belichick is going to remain in New England.
Oh.
Because I think him saying he is willing to give up personnel today is very profound. I think that is a very big thing that people kind of looked over today. Him willing to give up personnel is saying, like, yeah, I'm willing to make this work so I can stay here.
And I know Ziegler's back on the market, so he's back in New England, and he can take that back over.
Because, I think, Bill Barnwell said, over the last half of the season, the Patriots have been one of the best defenses in the league. That he still can coach. He is still a hell of a coach. It's just they need some non-Patriots ideas in that front office. So just let Bill give up the personnel decisions to somebody who comes from somewhere else with different ideas. I don't think Bill's leaving.
Interesting.
I would really like Raheem Morris for this Falcons job.
Interesting.
I think he has done a fantastic job with this Rams defense and getting basically chicken salad out of chicken crap, Aaron Donald and chicken crap. And he's already had the experience. I think
he's been the interim before in Atlanta.
Players love him. He'd also probably take Eric Henderson. I believe that's his name, the defensive line coach from the Rams. He'd probably take him with him as a defensive coordinator. Another rising star in the industry. Dude's awesome. I think the Falcons, again, they're a good coaching hire and a quarterback away from actually turning this thing around. Now it just really depends on what you do with quarterback because, unless you plan on trading up for one of the guys, which I don't think they will, you can always trade for a guy or sign someone in free agency if you really think you're a quarterback away from turning this around, especially if you look around the division, Baker Mayfield's on a 1-year deal. The Panthers are still not it. The Saints are that guy at the blackjack table who's constantly saying, hit me every time they go over 21. you can sign a Russell Wilson and be like, hey, let's see if we can make this work.
No.
I
No.
think
No.
I think Russ would be at his best in either Pittsburgh
Also,
or
he's
Atlanta.
not allowed in Atlanta. Future is from here. That's not gonna fly.
It would be hilarious. I think
He
he'd
would
be at his
get
best.
booed. I'm not kidding. Future is like I don't think that works. I don't think it's allowed. Like I genuinely don't think that would go over well.
I think for Russ's career, I think he would be at his best in Atlanta. Because what Russ does now is he is a touchdown or check down thrower. He is a 40-yard play or a check down. What were the Falcons? They were missing that explosive component of the offense. They were missing somebody who would throw the ball downfield and get the most out of those skill position talents. I think Russ can do that. I think Justin Fields obviously is priority number one if you can get him. I think Justin Fields would rock in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But if you
I just don't like the trading the quarterback stuff. Like those rarely go well. I think it's just you want to reset the contract clock. I think I would rather go first round quarterback. Just have that. That's just. I mean, that's the thing is like I think you can trade up. I think they have the firepower to trade up for one with the Bears. Because the Bears, I think, will end up trading that pick. I think you can get into that number one spot and then take Mayer Caleb.
Are you sure the Bears aren't taking a quarterback?
I think that the Bears are taking a quarterback and moving off.
I don't know about that.
I think it is in the best interest of both the Bears and Fields to move on.
Yeah.
I think Fields needs to be in another environment to grow, and I think the Bears need to reset the clock.
But they also could reset the clock and trade back. Like if they get the Falcons number 8, they could still take Jaden Daniels or whoever back.
Why can't the Falcons take Jaden Daniels at 8 then, huh?
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know if Daniels. The thing about Daniels,
I don't think Daniels is going to make it to 8.
I don't either.
By the way, but again, this is where the Falcons have always been bad enough to get to top 10, but not like good enough to be just in the top 10, but not bad enough to be in quarterback range. So
that's the whole thing. It's like, hey, guess what? When was the best Falcons era of the last 30 years in my lifetime? I'm 32. What happened? What was the what happened? You took Matt Ryan and as the first QB take. Like, it's just how this works. Like, if you want the best route to long-term success in the National Football League, it's still drafting a quarterback high in the first round. That's still the best path. It's not trading for Justin Fields. It's just not.
I think Justin Fields would be really fun in Atlanta with that skill position talent, with a good offensive coordinator in tow. But if you look at where the Falcons are right now, who are you going to, outside of Chicago, if they decide to keep Fields, who are you going to trade up with that's in quarterback range? I mean,
yeah.
Arizona at 4, you still could find yourself on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I think 4 is too late. I don't think you're going to be able to do that.
So I think at this point, the Falcons are better off trading for Fields, who I still think can be a good quarterback in the NFL. I think Fields in Atlanta with that skill position talent, they find a good coordinator. I think that would be really fun. And if it works, you can sign the 5th year. You can sign him to the 5th year, you know? You don't have to pick up the 5th year option immediately with Justin Fields. Just let it ride.
I mean, what I would do in terms of, and I tweeted about this is the perfect situation for the Falcons, for me, in my mind at least, is if Ben Johnson does take the job, then you trade for Justin Fields. If Brock Bowers is there at 8, then you take Brock Bowers, run 12 personnel all season long with Brock Bowers, Kyle Pitts, Bijan, and Drake London in the field at the same time. Just turn them basically into Lions South and just giggle your way to an NFC South title.
If you draft Brock Bowers, I don't think Kyle Pitts is on the roster.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It sounds like a lot of fun to me.
I just that Arthur Smith would love that. That is an Arthur Smith type deal.
Arthur Smith ass pick.
Yeah, it's not going to happen with this.
Also, Jonnu Smith is still like under contract,
and
I think everybody in Atlanta loves Jonnu Smith. So I
like Jonnu Smith. He was good.
They are better off. I think they are much better off trading for a quarterback and then using that 8th overall pick to go get another pass rusher, to go get a guy like Dallas Turner or something.
That I'd be okay with. But also, you could trade up in the first round. Take Dallas Turner at 8, and then trade back and trade up for either Bo Nix or Michael Penix.
You're trading into the first round for Bo Nix or Michael Penix?
Yeah.
You want Terry Fontenot fired.
Terry Fontenot does it. Hold on. Terry Fontenot is now cashing checks for. Never mind. I'm not going to say anything. Terry Fontenot is. I don't really know what he does here anymore. But yeah.
You want whoever runs that fired. Bo Nix and Michael Penix neither of them are going to be first round picks. In my opinion.
Do you not think either will be first rounders?
I think they will be.
I don't think either of them will be.
I don't think they should be.
I don't think either of them will be, because if you look at the teams who are currently QB needy, they all stop at like 13 with Vegas.
Pittsburgh Steelers say otherwise, Bob.
At 23, they're not going to pick a quarterback at 23.
I'm not saying that they should. I'm not ruling it out though.
There is no quarterback worth taking in the first round. We have seen this outside of the top 3. We have seen this same scenario play out last year, and then we saw it with the Kenny Pickett year, where we're like, oh, we're gonna get a bunch of quarterbacks going in the first round.
Yeah, and they all sucked.
They're not going to go in the first round. I don't think Bo Nix is a first round quarterback. I don't think Michael Penix is a first round quarterback. And this is not being hyperbolic based on a national title game. You're just going to find it really hard to sell me on a guy who is 24 years old, has 4 season-ending injuries, and avoids the middle of the field like a plague.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix I don't think he does it from an NFL perspective for me. A lot of his yards were manufactured after the catch, and I just worry about him like actually having to read the full field and actually go through progressions. So there's not going to be, outside of Williams, May, and Daniels, I don't think there's going to be a first-round quarterback this year.
Interesting. Pivoting a little bit here, let's go to the best wildcard round matchup. Which one is it for you, Jarrett Bailey? What do you think is the best one?
I think that it's Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit. Storyline-wise and team-wise. The Rams are the hottest team in the NFC right now. And personnel-wise, man, like Stafford's played like a top 5 quarterback over the last month and a half. Puka Nacua, we know what he's done this season. He broke a bunch of rookie receiving records and whatnot. Cooper Kupp's still that guy. Kyron Williams coming out of nowhere and being a really good running back. Probably will get all pro votes, by the way, Kyron Williams will. Like, he's had a fantastic year. And then defensively, JP already talked about the job that Raheem Morris has done on that side of the ball. Like, we all joked coming into this year, like, name 5 players that play for the Rams defense, and most people probably couldn't. But they've got a lot out of guys like Kobe Durant. Akilla Witherspoon had a really solid season coming over from Pittsburgh. They were just a cast of misfit guys that all played really well. And we make the jokes about, Les Snead and the front office for the Rams saying, hey, F them picks. Well, the late round picks that they had, they knocked all of them out of the park. So, and then on the Lions side of it, if Sam Laporta can't play, that is a giant blow to the Lions, because he's played like an all-pro tight end this season. He's a focal point of what they do offensively, and not having him will be a big blow to them. But regardless, still having that 1-2 punch of David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's going to be a tough train to stop. And when they are clicking on all cylinders and playing at their very best, they can put up points with anybody in the league. So it'll be very fun to watch these two teams go back and forth. Obviously, Detroit being the home team, having the better defense. That defense really stepped up a lot this year, too, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. It's going to be the most fun game storyline-wise, and I think it's going to be the best game like on the field product-wise as well. I think it's going to be everything that you could want in a playoff game you will get Sunday night in Detroit.
How do you think it goes? Because, like, in terms of upset potential, what is the likelihood the Rams win this game just outright?
I think the Rams do win this game outright. Especially if Laporta doesn't play. I think that's just, he's such a vital part of what they do offensively for the Lions.
And I mean, if you lose this, because we saw Jordan Love down the stretch here, and the Packers have their dude again, and the Packers
you know what,
are
man?
coming next year.
I'm not ruling out Green Bay beating Dallas this weekend. I'm not saying I think that they will. It would not shock me if they did. Jordan Love is right now, what he did in the last month of the season is playing like a top 5-ish quarterback.
I mean,
yeah,
right if you're a Lions fan, you're just kind of like, oh no.
Yeah.
We finally break through, and you're just seeing Jordan Love down the stretch here. And the Packers, like, we'll see if they move on from Joe Barry. I was talking to Theo Ash of Stay Hot earlier tonight about the Packers and Love and stuff, and it's like the ceiling's MVP for Jordan Love. Like, Jordan Love is now entering that zone where he can be that. And if you're a Lions fan,
he just finished what, like second or third in the league in touchdown passes. Like he played incredible. That's with missing games too.
And he's mastered the LaFleur offense. Like, he's already just like, oh, I know what we're doing here. We're good. And they have a young ass receiving core that is only going to get better.
He's throwing to Jaden Reed, who's a rookie, Dontavian Wicks, who's a rookie, Christian Watson, who's in his second year. Like, this is
the Packers are winning this division again next year. I hope you enjoyed it, Lions fans, because this was a one and done, unfortunately, and and you might lose your first home playoff game in forever to Matthew Stafford. I'm nervous for Lions fans' sanity.
I don't want to say that I was right in the beginning of the season, but I did kind of call this.
Yeah,
I said Jordan Love was going to be good.
Yeah,
and here we are. You know, I think the thing that stands out the most with Jordan Love is how aggressive he is throwing the ball downfield. And Matt LaFleur kind of weaponized that. A lot of deep crossing routes, over routes, and he's a trick shot thrower. You know, he's going to try and make the toughest throw. And he
hits one of the best fadeaway jumpers in the NFL right now. He is ungodly at that.
I promise you, he looks like Rodgers.
He does.
He does it. You can tell, like, it's like the Spider-Man meme where Peter Parker is like sitting there like that and Miles is sitting behind him. That was Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. And you can see it, you know, like, it's really cool.
Just a better hang, potentially.
Yeah. He throws the ball with such like, it's not just aggression, it's confident aggression. Like he's like, all right, I'm going to make this throw. Sorry.
Effortless velocity.
Yeah.
That one he had in the end zone against the Bears a couple nights ago.
Threw between like three guys in a window.
Yeah, that was just
in the perfect spot, man. He's incredible.
Right in the red basket, man. He's going to be great, and that's just, we know how this goes in this division. I feel bad for Lions fans, but enjoy this year. Maybe you win. You very much could beat the Rams this weekend and see what it looks like. But I don't know. I have my doubts about that. JP, which 2024 playoff team surprised you the most? Of all the teams that made the playoffs, which one surprised you the most that they made it in this year?
Somehow, this fucking Steelers team keeps doing this. It's like not Homer Simpson. It's the Simpsons meme where they throw the guy out the bar and he's always coming back.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
The Steelers team just keeps doing this. I don't know how they continue to do it. They play the same game every week. I kid you not. Yes, that's exactly what the meme is. For the people watching, that is exactly what that meme is.
That's funny.
The game
I tweeted that from the Behind the Steel Curtain Twitter account. Go follow us.
On week 18, the game between the Steelers and the Ravens was every Steelers game this year. It was joyless schlock ball that the Steelers end up making one big play, and that ends up leading to a 14-7 win where everybody fumbled. Like, that is how the Steelers win. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what deal with whatever God you believe in. I don't know who they signed it with, but they just continue to do this, and I don't know how. I think the other team that I'd put here is the Cleveland Browns. Being like legit with Joe Flacco at quarterback, that's a game that I'm really excited for. Browns Texans, I'm hyped for that game. But yeah, the Steelers they can't keep getting away with it.
That's the thing, man. So every game except two has been basically the same. And the only two that have been different are week 16 and 17 when they won 34-11 against Cincy, and then they won 30-23 against the Seahawks. The run game's come alive a lot over the last month. I think since week 12, they have the second best ground attack in the NFL. So Najee Harris and Jalen Warren have been so good. And guys like Isaac Samalo at left guard, James Daniels at right guard, Broderick Jones, they've all been really good run blocking. Having Broderick Jones has really opened up that run game, especially the outside run game too, especially when they pull him and get him in space. And I pointed this out earlier. They're doing this not just with Mason Rudolph, who is the third quarterback that they've used this year. Defensively, they are beat to shit, man. And they lost Cole Holcomb. They lost Quan Alexander. Landon Roberts went down recently with injury. So they resort to giving Miles Jack a ring, who is retired and owning minor league hockey teams and working construction and just keeping himself busy. They sign him, and he comes in against Cincinnati and legitimately has his best game as a Steeler in either run, because he had to fill in for Landon Roberts, who injured his pectoral muscle. So he basically played the entire game with the green dot after just getting elevated from the practice squad. They signed Eric Rowe off the streets as well because Minka Fitzpatrick went down. DeMonte Casey got suspended. Trenton Thompson, Elijah Riley, they all got injured. They moved Patrick Peterson back to safety because they really didn't have any other options. So they are just moving pieces around in this final stretch of the year. And it just so happens that Patrick Peterson's played really well at safety. Eric Rowe has been a godsend. If Eric Rowe doesn't get signed, I don't think the Steelers make the playoffs because he's been awesome. Same thing with Miles Jack. Landon Roberts came back. He's basically playing like Cody Rhodes did in his Hell in a Cell match, where he's half of his body is just black and blue. I don't know if that's what Landon Roberts' body looks like right now, but I don't know how high he can lift his arm. Like, he's playing with his shoulder and like one of those like mobile braces things. I don't know how healthy he is, but he gutted out playing against Baltimore. I don't know how they're doing it, man. Obviously, they've had a bunch of really nice performances. George Pickens has had a really good month. But they won against Baltimore without him getting a target. The only touch that he had was a 3-yard carry. So they've had a lot of guys step up, and somehow, some way, all the dominoes fell their way. And even with a win against Baltimore, like, everybody was crowding the TV in Pittsburgh saying, okay, we need either the Titans or the Dolphins to win. And lo and behold, the former Steeler Mike Vrabel gave him a hand. So all the dominoes fell their way. And like I said, I don't think they're going to go far. I don't think they're getting past the wild card round. But the fact that they're even here to begin with, it's black magic, man. It's crazy.
Tape don't lie this week, JP. What flipped for the Bills in the last 6 games on offense? What was Joe Brady cooking that changed the Bills' just real season? They're hosting a playoff game, and we thought this was all over on this very program a month ago.
They were actually willing to run the football. I think as good as Ken Dorsey was, and as much as I thought, like, oh, he's kind of been scapegoated a little bit, he was also kind of unwilling to run the football. And that's something where the Bills have kind of leaned into that as the season has gone on, as you get into times where you need to run the football to win football games. And the Bills are able to do that effectively. I think Josh Allen has played okay. I think there have been games where, like, man, it looks really rough right now. Like, it's kind of He's been kind of But the run game being as effective as it is, and then the defense just being able to find a way has been the biggest thing. But they've included a lot more power run schemes, like pulling the tackles, running a lot of counter, instead of just running outside zone a lot. So it's that willingness to get into the run game that really has helped this offense kind of take off a little bit. And, you get hot at the right time. You catch a Miami team that it's just brutal for them. I feel bad because they were 3 minutes away in Tennessee from locking up that division. Or not in Tennessee. They're 3 minutes away against Tennessee from locking up that division, up 14. And now you have to go to Kansas City in below zero weather without your first four edge rushers, your starting middle linebacker, your other corner outside of Jalen Ramsey is hurt, Javon Holland's hurt, Jalen Waddle might not play, Raheem Mostert also might not play. You're going to Kansas City with Melvin Ingram and Emmanuel Ogbah as your starting edge rushers. It's just brutal for them. I feel bad, but congrats to the Bills for finding out where they needed to improve and kind of hammering that run game.
And not only that, but like defensively, man, they've been really good. And when they traded for Russell Douglas at the trade deadline, I think a lot of us just went, "Oh, okay, that's fine." He's changed the identity of their defense. He's been incredible. He got hurt last night too, and he talked about it post game where Dane Jackson, backup cornerback, told him, was like, "Look, Rasul, if you can't go, I got you." And I think just having that kind of trust has really helped this team a lot. Deion Dawkins talked about the trust of this team too. Like when they were sitting at 6-6, it was, he said it was the cornhole games, it was the Uno games, it was just the team unity, I think, that really got them through. So, when we were sitting here, they're 6-6. We saw the gauntlet that they had to run: Kansas City, Dallas, Miami, and they had one loss that they could get. If you lose, you get one more loss, but after that, you're probably done. And they ran through the gauntlet unscathed, and says a lot about how they responded to all the adversity from the Ty Dunn article about Sean McDermott, all the adversity of the Von Miller situation, all the adversity of the games that they let slip away. They've adjusted when needed, and Sean McDermott has adjusted when needed, and that has been a big thing for them too. And that was one thing that stood out to me last night was Sean McDermott didn't coach in his fears. Like in the fourth quarter, it was 4th and 1. They were in their own territory and they went for it. I don't think Sean McDermott does that at the beginning of the season. And then later on, it's 4th and 1 at Miami's 37. They go for it again. Now, they didn't get it, but I think the fact that Sean McDermott has shown this aggression and the belief in his offense, that says a lot. Because like I said, I don't think that he does that in years past. I don't think he does that in weeks past. And the fact that he has grown in terms of saying, okay, I think he's understood and accepted that he needs to be more aggressive and he needs to change, and he hasn't got so far lost in his ways. I think that's big for them too. So, in terms of hottest teams in the NFL right now, they are certainly at the top of that list. And I said, I tweeted it out and put it on social, I think they keep running the gauntlet and get to the Super Bowl. This is at the peak of their powers, man. Buffalo is the last team I want to see. And yes, Josh Allen is going to make, he did it last night. He's going to make at least one throw a game that makes you just scream at your TV and be like, Josh, what in the hell are you doing? I don't know if it's a Gabe Davis thing more so or anything, because the communication with him and Gabe Davis is never on. But God almighty, man.
Are either of y'all willing to put your name on them winning the AFC now?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
I will happily do it.
I still think this is setting up very nicely for Kansas City to do.
Oh, no.
No.
I think,
dude, here's the thing.
I think they're going to do the thing.
If, let's say that the Chiefs go to Buffalo and they beat the Bills in Buffalo, that's a funeral. That's nobody in Buffalo is gonna, like, that is devastating if you're the Bills, man.
I also don't think the Chiefs are beating the Dolphins this weekend.
Oh, I think they're beating the Dolphins.
What?
They're beating the Dolphins are. So here's a fun fact. I talked to Matt Verderam of the MMQB today. We were talking about like historical, like what the Dolphins are and cold weather. I think in their last 10 games of playing in games under 40 degrees, they are 0-10. They do not play well.
Sounds like time for a streak
weather
to end. Jarrett Bailey.
Look, man. The Kansas City Chiefs, like, they're going to send pressure at Tua. Spags is going to just be a madman for 3 hours and say, all right, we're going to press the hell out of Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill because they have the corners to do it.
Jalen Waddle might not play.
And Jalen Waddle might not play.
Okay, that changes my opinion.
Mostert might not play either.
Okay, that also changes my
They
opinion.
also don't have anybody on defense.
Well, Bradley Chubb's out, but
And Jalen Phillips.
But it's still a good
And-
defense, man.
And Jerome Baker.
But you know
also
what's
out.
nice? There's no receivers on the opposite side. There's a Chiefs team that I don't know. I don't think they're
There's
going
a
to be
Travis
great. This is
Kelce,
going to be
though.
close. Anyone who thinks it's going to be a blowout, I think is wrong. I think this is going to be a very close game.
This might get ugly.
I don't think the score is
Interesting.
going to indicate a blowout, but I don't think the result's ever going to be in doubt. I think it's going to be like a 20-10 game in cold weather. It's going to be ugly. I think the Chiefs are going to win because their defense is ungodly good. That's one thing about the Chiefs. Their offense has been putrid, but their defense has been incredible. Sorry,
I think it's going to get ugly. And not only do I say that because the Dolphins don't have anybody healthy right now, but you're facing an Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes who both A, have already seen you, and B, have given an extra week to prepare for you. Good luck, man. Like you're going to negative, like you're going to be below 0 and you have to face those guys. There's this small belief in the back of my mind that Chiefs are going to do the thing again. And the reason why I think so is because I think the Chiefs offense has started to find the answers a little bit. Post Christmas, they started to find the answers. And Rashee Rice coming along well has helped them out a lot. Travis Kelce kind of operating that in between area. And anybody in the AFC can get got. Like this is not the same like one dominant team. Of course, the Ravens, and that's going to be the biggest issue is getting through the Ravens.
Yeah, I think the NFC's done. I think it's just Cowboys, Niners in the NFC title game. And
I don't think so.
Don't rule out the Rams. So. If I'm the Niners, I do not want to see the Rams, man.
Don't think so. I think if there's any team capable of making a 2012 Joe Flacco run or a 2021 Matthew Stafford run, it's Matthew Stafford. Like that's the one team. Like I do not want to face that team. Dallas is going to get home field until they go to face
the Niners.
Which is huge. But I don't know. I'm very nervous when it comes to the Cowboys, especially their defense. I don't know if their defense is built for winning playoff football.
How good would Bills Cowboys be for a Super Bowl? Great history there. Fun game. Dak versus
my pick
Josh
to do
Allen.
it. That was my pick preseason.
I like it.
Stinky.
That's not stinky. That's gonna be a great game. That's not stinky, JP.
I'm just talking
the best
about
quarterbacks in the game. That's fun.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the overall vibes. Give me, in the preseason, I said Chiefs Niners.
But
You've
already seen it.
Give me Ravens Niners again. Give me
I'm
that
okay with
in
that.
the Super Bowl again. Give me the two best teams in football playing in the Super Bowl. Give me that again. I don't
think it's a better game than Bills Cowboys though.
It is absolutely a better game than Bills Cowboys.
I think Bills Cowboys has like all kinds of late game drunkenness potential.
Because the Cowboys are going to be away from home, so the Cowboys are going to stink it up.
Where is it this year?
It's in Vegas.
Oh, see, they're going to get it. No, it's an indoor. It'll be fine. Cowboys will be fine.
No, they're not going to be fine. It's a road game, and they have anxiety on the road.
Tell you what, I would love Bills Rams. I think that would be fun. Bunch of drunk fun there.
You know what would be just the funniest outcome?
Like Browns Lions.
Browns Rams would be so funny. It would be so funny because let me go check this to make sure I'm not going crazy. But when was Joe Flacco's first game as the starting Browns quarterback?
It was
the Rams.
It was against the Rams.
The Rams. So we just come back full circle in the Super Bowl. I'm now okay. This is what I want. I've decided that I want this now. Joe Flacco coming full circle. First game he started was against the Rams. He finishes it out against the Rams in the Super Bowl. I want that. Give me that.
I'm all for the Rams or the whole like Joe Flacco having his Kurt Warner run because the thing that's very parallel where Kurt Warner took over the Cardinals starting job. They go 9-7. Nobody expects them to go to the Super Bowl. They somehow get there running the gauntlet. And then Flacco, by the way, if Flacco does get to the Super Bowl, he has to go back to Baltimore and go through the Ravens to do it. And wouldn't that both in this made up scenario, both Stafford and Flacco would have to go back to their old teams and get to the Super Bowl by going back to the places that they started their careers and knocking out their former teams. I'm all for it.
I do think a very underrated game of Wild Card Weekend is Bucks Eagles, because
That's going to be an ugly football game, man.
They played in week 3, and those are two completely different teams now.
Yeah.
I think this is a Eagles fuck around if you want to game. You fuck around. You're gonna let the Bills beat you not the Bills. You're gonna let the Bucks beat you because they will be at home. And I think Baker Mayfield does the thing where he has too much dip on his chip, but sometimes it works, and it works against teams who are bad at linebacker and safety. Well, guess what the Eagles are? They're gonna spam Chris Godwin option routes the entire game. And with A.J. Brown not healthy, Jalen Hurts dislocating a finger on his
that was
hand.
nasty.
Hey, man, fuck around if you want to. You'll find out quickly. Like, I would not screw around with this team, because you will end up going home, and then there's going to be a lot of seats on fire in Philadelphia.
There's some people thinking that Sirianni's going to be gone after this year in Philadelphia.
If they lose to Baker Mayfield in the playoffs, I would entertain it a little bit.
I just think they lost too much brain drains too quickly. Is
Absolutely.
my gut. I think that's just what happened here.
They're the only team in the NFL to start 10-1 and end the season with 5 or more losses.
I don't know. The dude was just in the Super Bowl.
If the Jaguars did not do what they did, that would be the biggest story of the year so far.
I'm more concerned he did the weird Matt Patricia late season. That's
the thing. Like, this season has
that's
been
another reason why this should be like, hey, I'm a little concerned here.
Yeah.
Because
so many knee-jerk reactions with this team.
Massive overcorrection. And not even an overcorrection. You went from a bad defense to the worst defense in the league by going from a defensive coordinator who wasn't that great to the worst defense coordinator in the league.
Yeah.
Like, who could have thought that hiring Matt Patricia would end up being bad for you in the long run?
Darius Slay may have had a take on it.
Hey, man, maybe Darius Slay should have spoken up more. Maybe they would have actually would have listened to him a little bit. But this is gonna be a fun wild card weekend. I think there are a lot of cool storylines.
And people stop dunking on Peacock. Peacock's a great sports app. Like, the college basketball look is fantastic. Like, I don't know if you have watched a college basketball game on Peacock. Great score basketball look. Yeah, it's good.
The Caitlin Clark game winner, I didn't think actually counted because Peacock was like 5 seconds off.
Hold on, that's a different thing. But it's a good score look.
Yeah, that was
It looks good. Peacock's fine. Stop dunking on Peacock. Peacock's good.
My biggest thing is you're only making it Peacock exclusive.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna. And Peacock has already said they're not doing free trials this weekend.
Oh, did they say that?
Yeah, you better pay that $6, buddy.
That's funny.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, I already paid for it. I need my King of Queens reruns, but that look.
It's the whitest sentence anybody's ever said out loud.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I wish Evan was here. I wish Evan was here to listen to that.
All right. Impromptu
He knows.
Sitcom dad draft. I'm taking Arthur Spooner. 1-1.
Yeah. Oh, Arthur Spooner is fantastic.
I don't know if he goes above Frank Burns, but he's not Frank Burns. What's Frank? Frank Barone.
Oh, and Everybody Loves Raymond. Oh, yeah. Frank's good.
But, yeah, those are both really good.
I mean, we can. I have to think about it for a second, but no, there's a lot of good ones here. But yeah, no, Arthur Spooner, fantastic. King of Queens reruns like that. That's reason to know. Peacock's not paying me for this ad read. Hey, subscribe to Peacock today and enjoy some classic King of Queens. Might I suggest the episode where Doug's mom is still close friends with Doug's high school girlfriend, and Carrie gets jealous. One of those middle seasons. Go ahead and dive in there.
I gotta say, so many sitcom wives are just the worst. Like Carrie Heffernan, not good. Deborah Barone, worse. Not a fan of either of the wives on that show.
I think Carrie has a lot of points here because Doug is a very bad husband on this show.
Doug is hilarious, man. Oh, it's great.
The man is not equipped.
The episode where he hurts his back and he has Carrie bring in his he has to bring in like the black and white TV for his Super Bowl party, and everybody leaves to go to his other coworker's Super Bowl party. the only the line I remember is he's like, all right, if you guys leave now, you're not invited to my Stanley Cup sleepover, and that part just always made me laugh.
JP is so
This is the greatest segment we've ever done.
I mean, look, on this program, we're a very family-centered program. We love the sitcoms.
My dad loved King of Queens when I was growing up, so I'm very familiar with King of Queens.
Oh, we had the whole DVD set.
Good Lord.
Dude, there's this channel called Peachtree TV, the local station in Atlanta, and they would have reruns of King of Queens every night, and it was just top notch. And I love the sound of Peachtree TV. It was like a cool little, it had Peachtree Street on it, and it was just good Atlanta. It's one of those local like public broadcasting type thing. It was just top notch stuff.
There was, when I was in like 7th grade, I would come home. I don't know why I did this, but like I would turn on Ion television.
Oh, love Ion. Are you talking some Criminal Minds, or is that what you're doing?
It wasn't even.
What's the
Criminal
Jennifer
Minds.
Love Hewitt show that she was on there? That has been on.
She was on Criminal Minds for a minute.
No, but she was on another one on Ion. What was the other one?
I think it was FBI. Was that the one?
No, it wasn't. It was something.
I don't remember. But the show that I watched every day after school, I'd come home, I'd turn on, and Walker Texas Ranger would be on, and the theme song for Walker Texas Ranger would always get stuck in my head, and I will remember every word of that song until the day I die.
Never saw an episode of Walker Texas Ranger, but Walker Texas Ranger used to be on right after Matlock on WGN, and WGN was my jam. And as y'all know, Matlock, just Atlanta's best attorney of all time.
WGN was good because I grew up a Bulls fan, and anytime the Bulls weren't on like nationally, that's where they were on. So those Derrick Rose, Carlos Boozer, Luol Deng teams, those were WGN place to be at like
the Superstation. Fantastic. Yes. Fantastic stuff.
These are all words that I'm sure make sense to both of y'all.
I talked about Derrick Rose and the Bulls. You're a basketball guy, JP.
I'm not talking about Derrick Rose and the Bulls. I'm talking about WGN and Matlock.
Have you ever watched a Matlock episode, JP?
Absolutely not.
I've never watched a Matlock episode either.
I'm 23 years old, man. Talk about some Matlock.
He's such a good attorney.
John Mulaney has a.
I will take your word for it.
I love Matlock. I have the. Hold on. Do you see this right here?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Matlock.
Is that who that is?
Yeah, that's Matlock. Ben Matlock.
Lie. I thought that was Howard Schnellenberger. So. He's dressed just like Howard Schnellenberger would dress.
No, it's Matlock.
Word.
Best defense attorney out there. Loved his gray suits. Dude had to go on.
I'm gonna have to like go back and find shows that like I used to watch a lot of, like either live action. I watched a lot of Boomerang. It's like a lot of classic.
Never
cartoons.
Did that.
You weren't a Boomerang kid?
I wasn't a Boomerang kid. I did Power Rangers, Big Bad Beetleborgs, obviously the Disney Channel original movies.
Big Bad what?
The Big Bad. Wait, what? Big Bad Beetleborgs.
What in God's name is that?
I've never heard of that in my life.
Hold on. Y'all know Big Bad Beetleborgs. It was on right after Power Rangers.
I didn't watch. I mean, I've seen.
You didn't do Fox Kids. You were too late for Fox Kids after school because it was Spider-Man the animated series. It was Power Rangers, Big Bad Beetleborgs.
I was Kids WB for a long time because that had like the early 2000s, the Batman. It had
Animaniacs.
Sonic. It had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of the early 2000s. That was a good. The Winx Club. Winx Club ruled. I grew up with 3 sisters, so I watched.
Oh, I love Ghost Rider. I don't know if you ever watched Ghost Rider.
I never watched Ghost Rider.
That was my jam because I was really into that public broadcasting stuff, and you could learn in that one. I'm dropping the Big Bad Beetleborgs, but Ghost Rider had a great song where it's like Ghost Rider, word, ba-da-da-da.
Isn't
he's
Ghost
a ghost
Rider
and he talks to us. He's a Ghost Rider.
Oh, Ghost Rider, not the Nicolas Cage movie.
No, Ghost Rider.
I was like, they turned Ghost Rider into a kid.
No, and they had the star. Samuel L. Jackson makes a cameo as the grandfather in the opening credits, and you never see him again. And it's a great one that you just never know it's coming. And then there's the lead actor. His name always stuck with me. He didn't do anything else after Sheldon Turnipseed. I just love that name so much.
That's terrific. I was a Bear in the Big Blue House kid for a little bit. That was a good one. Me and my sisters
love
watched
Bear
that just to like feel nostalgic. Yeah, I watched it like recently just because like I saw it on, I think it was Disney Plus, and I was like, oh yeah, let's feel nostalgic for a minute and just see if I remember anything. Weird show. This is very was that a Jim Henson production? That felt like one.
I don't know, but when I was little, they had a Bear in the Big Blue House like live show in Gainesville.
Oh, that's cool.
And my grandparents took me and my sister. It was awesome.
That sounds fun. Big Blues Clues kid as well.
Never did. That was my brother. That was a little bit late for me because there was also Blues Clues and he was into Little Bear.
Little Bear slapped. Yeah, I like Little Bear. Franklin the turtle. That was.
See, I missed all that. I missed all that. I will tell you, someone compared me to Caillou the other day, and that was tough.
That is rough.
That's rough.
That's rough.
That's rough.
Those are fighting words. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
For sure.
I'm married. I'm content, man. Who cares?
I remember vividly watching like I was in like probably third grade. Me and my friend were like watching like Family Guy on Adult Swim, and Team America World Police came on directly after it, and it's the first time I saw Team America World Police, which is one of the stupidest and funniest movies in the history of cinematics. I don't. Have you guys seen Team America?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
JP, you've never seen Team America World Police?
No,
he wasn't even born in Team America World Police.
America, fuck yeah!
I'm sure I know that, but I don't know the show.
It's not a show; it's a movie.
It's a movie.
I know the meme. I don't know the movie.
Oh man, yeah, you got to.
You're not missing much. It's okay, JP.
That's a lie.
It's okay.
So funny.
It's okay.
It's so stupid and funny.
If you watch it for the first time in your 20s, I don't know how much it hits.
I watched it. I mean, for the first time, I was like a 9-year-old, but it's very funny.
I was a Disney Channel and Disney XD kid, and also Cartoon
You
Network.
like Disney XD?
I love Disney XD.
Oh, that's where we differ.
Randy Cunningham, 9th Grade Ninja, was my shit.
My sister's like Zeke and Luther from that, and I was not a fan.
Zeke and Luther was so stupid. Pair of Kings rocked.
The theme song for Pair of Kings
rocked. They had Phineas and Ferb on there before they moved to Disney Channel. Gravity Falls is amazing.
Gravity Falls is an XD show?
Mm-hmm. Gravity Falls is an XD show. What else was on there? Man.
Chase, I have a question about a Disney movie that so don't ask me why I know all the specifics of this, but you guys will appreciate this. So it was the week that Michael Jackson died. And I was
what a start to a sentence. I don't know where it's going.
Yeah. So the week that Michael Jackson died, and I woke up from a Michael Jackson related dream. Don't know why Michael Jackson was in my dream. I think it was just because like I saw that he died. So I had Michael Jackson on the brain. And I woke up and Disney Channel was on my TV, and it was a movie with like this dude riding a bicycle, and at the end they are near a buffalo and they sing "We All Need Someone to Lean On" to the buffalo. What movie is that? It felt like a 90s Disney movie.
Hold on. Was it a Lawrence brother?
A Lawrence brother.
The Lawrence brothers. Did you not? What do you mean?
Oh, no.
Brotherly Love, the Lawrence brothers?
It was like a 19-year-old Pacific Islander kid. That's if I had to describe him. He was riding a bike.
He was riding a bike.
And they sing to a buffalo.
They sing to a buffalo.
Yeah.
Was it Buffalo Dreams?
It might be that. I don't know.
Oh, it was. Did you say he was riding a bike?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Buffalo Dreams.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't have like a fever dream at the age of 9.
No. There were some great Disney Channel original movies though. Yeah, like Brink. We got Johnny Tsunami. We could just
Starstruck.
Johnny Tsunami rocked.
Johnny Tsunami, Jet Jackson. I used to do the handshake with my friends, like the Jet Jackson with Johnny handshake. Urchins.
Let It Shine is one of my favorite Disney Channel original movies.
Never saw it.
I'm not gonna say you have to go and watch it because it was made like right in that like 2010 to 2013 range. So like watching it now, it's like, dang, it feels kind of cringy. But when I was a kid, that was my favorite movie. It was
Tyler James Williams.
Yeah,
okay.
It was awesome. The final
rap
battle is, I think about that often. That is my Roman Empire. That's my Roman Empire.
There's a lot of like Minutemen with Jason Dolly was really good.
That's a real movie right there.
Yeah. Jump In with Corbin Blue and Keke Palmer was really, really good. Lemonade Mouth is good. Starstruck.
But see, y'all don't know anything about Susie Q, right? Like, you didn't watch Susie Q in the early 90s.
You mentioned this show so many. You mentioned this movie so many different times.
You're really like want us to watch Susie Q.
Susie Q is the OG. I'm telling you, it's the old. It was the first one, and then you have I think it was Toothless with
Fun
Kirstie
fact.
Alley.
There's a barbecue place in Mobile, which JP and I will be in for the Senior Bowl in a matter of weeks, called Susie Q's, and I will be attending Susie Q's at least once while in Mobile because it does serve really good food.
There you go.
Good stuff all around.
All right, y'all. Well, that's all I've got right now.
Yeah, I might go watch like a Blue's Clues episode just to feel nostalgic and feel something again.
There you go.
Watch Sonic.
Oh, there you go.
I need to watch Sonic 2, the movie, because I like the
JP
first one.
has tweeted a lot about Sonic and Knuckles over the past 2 weeks.
Knuckles, is he in the second one?
Yes.
Okay.
But I've been watching Sonic Boom. It's a cartoon. I think it's a Cartoon Network show. It's Sonic, but it's just so funny. The jokes are so funny. Like they actually they get me to laugh now as a 23-year-old and not, but they also made me laugh when I was like a kid watching them.
There you go. Well, folks, JP, what can the good folks check out from you across SBNation.com this week?
So got a mock draft dropping, on Tuesday. Tuesday morning, gonna be post college football mock draft. Did a podcast with Bill Barnwell from ESPN that dropped earlier that you should go and listen to. I talked about the Jaguars, talked about a lot about football, talked some pro wrestling, just kind of going everywhere. Establish the Fun will be back this Friday talking some playoff matchups, but just follow along, see where I'm going, see what I'm doing.
There you go. Jarrett Bailey, what about you over at USA Today, The Pump Fake, and Behind the Steel Curtain?
Yeah, me and Matt Verderam of the MMQB recorded a podcast today, so that'll be out by the time this comes out as a podcast. Yeah, just talking a lot about wildcard weekend in terms of each matchup, what it could hold, a lot about Josh Allen and the Bills, because everybody who knows me knows how high I am on them. How fun that the Browns and Texans matchup will be now that CJ Stroud's going to be playing in this one. He didn't play in the first one. So, yeah, just a lot of fun to look forward to in Wildcard Weekend. The playoff power rankings are out. I compared the Pittsburgh Steelers to the female assassin spy in Austin Powers, A Spy Who Shagged Me. So go read that. And then I did a really something a little bit outside the box for me personally, at least for USA Today, which should be out by the time this comes out as a podcast. Just talk about Aaron Rodgers and not necessarily the on the field stuff. Just if you're the Jets, is all of this worth it? And they won't know if it's worth it until until he's playing. And, once all it's, said and done with his time with the Jets, it's just, it started off as being, harmless, look at me type stuff, but now it's really escalated to, this is a problem. And so I just kind of talked about that and the deep dive of the Aaron Rodgers look at me saga for the past 2 years now it's been. So that should be out by the time this comes out as a podcast. Go read that. So yeah, a lot of stuff.
There you go. JP, Jarrett, thank you as always, my good friends, and I will talk to y'all next week.